and welcome to another Tenant Farmers Association short teach-in. My name is George Dunn. I'm the Chief Executive of the Tenant Farmers Association and very pleased to be with you today. And this is part of our series of teach-ins which attempt to shine a spotlight on topical issues that are facing the tenant sector of agriculture and the sorts of issues that our team of expert advisors deal with every day at the TFA. It's part of our growing YouTube library, which features webinars, important industry updates, and other materials. So don't forget to let us know your thoughts and comments below if you found this useful. And we'd certainly encourage you to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on new content as we post it. So today, I'm delighted to say we're going to hear from Lynette Steel, who is our Farm Policy Adviser here at the TFA, and she will be highlighting key considerations to be thinking about when entering into natural capital contracts. But before we start, I'd like to say how pleased we are that Roythorn Solicitors are sponsoring our 2025 virtual teach-in sessions. Roythorns is a national firm of solicitors steeped in agriculture with 90 years of experience advising landlords, landowners, and tenants alike. The lawyers are also very active in farm tenancy policy groups and other areas, so they get very much the bigger picture. So whether you've got an issue on succession under the Agricultural Holdings Act, or a new farm business tenancy, or even a new collaborative natural capital agreement, which we'll be hearing about today, Roythorn solicitors are there to advise and to assist. So moving swiftly on to today's teach-in, if you're thinking about entering into a natural capital contract, here's some considerations to think about, to weigh up before you commit. Now, just to bear in mind, this is being recorded in autumn of 2025, so everything we cover today is correct at the time of recording. So for specific advice on your individual circumstances, we very much recommend you call us here at the TFA and speak to one of our advisors, like Lynette, who will be able to help you. And if you're not a member, join as a member, and we'll be able to give you that crucial advice. So without further ado, I will introduce you now to Lynette Steel, who is one of our specialist policy advisors here at the TFA. Hi, Lynette, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, George. So for those of you that don't know, natural capital contracts are privately funded agreements which reward land managers and farmers for protecting, enhancing and restoring natural assets such as soil, water, air, biodiversity and ecosystems. For tenant farmers not owning the lands they farm, this marketplace can bring a number of legal, financial and practical challenges, which, as George said, we're going to look at those key factors now. So first of all, and probably most importantly, is reviewing your tenancy agreement. Generally, tenancy terms, either under an AHA or FBT, have most likely been negotiated before the introduction of natural capital contracts. Therefore, these agreements often restrict non-agricultural land use, which may include schemes such as tree planting or habitat creation, anything that would potentially be under a natural capital contract. Therefore, we are advising tenants to ensure they're reviewing their tenancy clauses for the land use restrictions. It's really important to seek written landlord consent before entering schemes if it's required, and also clarifying who receives the payment and who holds the responsibilities. The person taking the risk should be the one that's receiving the payment. Therefore, this should be discussed with landlords to clarify that position at the offset. Entering these contracts without any consent or proper consent written by the landlord could be a breach of your tenancy and does risk serious consequences. There's a really helpful code of conduct that was introduced in 2024, which encourages fair and collaborative approaches to environmental schemes. It reinforces the need for transparent communication, joint planning of scheme participation, and fair sharing of benefits and responsibilities. We'd encourage everybody to use this code when discussing such things as natural capital contracts, as it helps when negotiating access and avoids any disputes that could potentially occur further down the line. Other legal and financial considerations are that it's important to understand that natural capital contracts are often much longer term than any publicly funded scheme and are legally binding. So it's important that tenants looking to enter into these contracts consider the length of the contract versus the term of the tenancy, exit clauses and penalties for leaving the contract early, the liability where that falls for delivering environmental outcomes, and also the condition in which the land must be returned to the landlord in. It's really important to seek legal advice before entering into any agreement and fully understand the terms and conditions before signing. Obviously, the new direction of agricultural policy in England and Wales is encouraging landowners and farmers to make space for biodiversity. And these natural capital contracts can be aligned with publicly funded schemes. So they can work hand in hand and offer multiple income streams to help sustain your business going forward. So there is, a huge benefit here in the contracts to work with other schemes. But participation in natural capital schemes may affect eligibility to enter publicly funded schemes, tax treatment of incomes, and inheritance tax relief if the land use changes significantly, i.e. woodlands is created. Again, it's really important to consider the implications of this contract, of these contracts, and consult with a professional before entering into them. And finally, these private schemes may offer a high payment rate, which is very exciting, but can offer more risk. Therefore, it's really vital that if you are looking at entering into any of these contracts, the scheme providers should be verified for their credibility. Payment structures and ownership of those credits must be clear and understood from the outset. Contracts need to be transparent. But we urge members and tenant farmers to be cautious about any liabilities for non-compliance and long-term obligations that outlast the tenancy. So therefore, in summary, natural capital contracts offer tenant farmers a diverse income opportunity and the ability to contribute towards national environmental goals. However, these opportunities must be approached with care. Tenancy terms should be reviewed, and where appropriate, landlord consent is needed. And tenants must ensure they benefit from these schemes without jeopardising the terms of their tenancy or financial stability.
Thanks, Lynette. That's great. So you've piqued my attention. I'm a tenant farmer and I want to have a go at some of this stuff. What's the best way I can start a conversation with my landlord about these natural capital opportunities on the basis that we both, the landlord and the tenant, have some advantage here and we're both on the same page, but without putting my tenancy farming operations at risk?
So I would advise any tenant farmer just to be very open and transparent with their landlord from the outset, to have some really robust discussions about potentially how these contracts could be seeked, what areas of the farm could be used to deliver the outcomes of these contracts, and also talk about the payments, the payment structure, who receives those payments, and how everybody would benefit from entering these contracts. But firstly and foremost, I would say it's just really important that you are open and transparent with your landlord so that nobody feels like they're being left in the dark.
Okay, so I'm a risk-averse individual. Are there any legal or financial protections in place to protect me as a tenant farmer when entering these types of contract?
So actually this marketplace is in its infancy and it's currently unregulated. So it's really important that when, if you do get to the point of signing an agreement, it is a legal contract and therefore it needs to be thoroughly reviewed. And I'd urge anybody to have that reviewed by a solicitor. It's really important that you look at credible providers. It's a bit of the Wild West out there, so make sure that you're using a provider that has a good reputation. Unfortunately, we have seen some instances where providers have been sold to offshore companies, which has meant that as a farmer, you're dealing with somebody in a different country and you're very much left in the dark. So do your research and have it reviewed by a solicitor, I would say, is the best thing you can do to protect yourself.
Okay, so do my homework and get somebody else to check my homework for me is what you're saying there, Lynette.
Absolutely.
In terms of wider issues, what additional due diligence is needed to ensure I'm not breaching other agreements?
So in a situation where you have both a publicly funded scheme, such as, let's say, Countryside Stewardship or SFI, and a privately funded scheme through one of these contracts, it's important to understand that they are separate legal agreements, and no one takes precedent over the other. So you must make sure from the offset that you are able to meet the requirements of both those schemes, so they work alongside each other, not against each other. So again, planning, doing your homework, and ensuring you can meet the terms of that legal obligation is absolutely vital.
Great, thanks for that. Time's against us, so we need to finish there, I think. But if you have any more questions and you're watching around your individual position, then if you're not a member of the TFA, then why not consider joining? Membership starts from just £299 per year, so it is absolutely excellent value for money, and it will give you access to dedicated advice, information, and support from our expert team, such as Lynette here. So for more information about the TFA, how we support all tenant farmers in England and Wales and all others who don't own the land that they farm, why not go to our website, www.tfa.org.uk, and you'll find information there about joining the TFA and also our upcoming calendar of events. So we hope that you have found this teach-in helpful. And if you're watching this on YouTube, as I said, it is part of our growing YouTube channel. So go and look at the other material that's posted there. Let us know what you think about this particular teach-in, and if you want any other teach-ins, let us know too. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content as we post it. Many thanks again to Roy Thorns for sponsoring our virtual program again. Thanks to Lynette for her expertise today, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.